Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Forsyth County Democratic Party Candidate Forum for House District Number 10 and County Commissioner. Tonight, we will have 14 candidates being asked specific questions about the office that they are hoping to be elected to. For reference, as we get started, I wanted to just carefully go over the rules. Please mute yourself while people are speaking. There are over 100 of us so far, and we expect another 100 to probably join the chat within the next few minutes. So it's very important that we keep background noise to a minimum. Candidates have been instructed to keep it positive, which they have been all along, which is really good. They will each get 4 questions. The first one will be about their qualifications. They'll be given up to 2 minutes and 30 seconds to answer each question. A warning bell will sound at 2 minutes and to let them know to finish their thoughts. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, candidates will be muted. And we're doing that reluctantly because we have so many candidates and a limited amount of time. If you are looking for information about the candidates, you can go to the Forsyth County Democratic Party website, fcdpnc.org, under Get Ready to Vote 2026 election, and you will find links to all of the candidates' websites. So it's a one-place shop all for information about your candidates. Okay, so my name is Denise Weldon Civvy, and I'm a volunteer with Precinct 909. And I'd like to first thank my precinct chair, Pat Duskin, who put a huge amount of work into helping to organize this, and Jenny Marshall, who's providing all of the facilities and the details. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny for a minute to get started.
Perfect. We are going to start our evening off with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to participate in that, please do so.
Jenny, before you get started, this is Shay. Miss Schaefer's told me that she was clicked out and said it was at capacity. I just wanted to be.
Well,
Oh,
do we
who
have
was
300
clicked out?
people in the?
Nope, it says 100.
Yeah, it says 100.
Yeah, our Zoom is a 300 person Zoom, so
I'll text her back and let her know.
yeah. All right, let's go ahead and do this pledge, and we'll troubleshoot a little bit on this. Okay, stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
for all. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. As we're getting started, I wanted to thank all of the elected officials who are here. Normally, we would ask you to stand up. If you do that, then we won't be able to see your face on Zoom. So please don't stand up, but know that you are very much appreciated. Are all of the candidates able to get into the chat? Were all of the candidates able to get into the Zoom call? Jenny?
I don't know. We hadn't done a head count at one time.
Yeah, they were at one time.
Okay, cool.
We'll just keep an eye on them if they drop out.
Marcy.
Okay, we're going to start with the District 10 House candidates, and they are going to be introduced and asked their questions by Jen Wiles. Jen is a Democratic candidate for District 75. And just in case anyone is curious, how you get to be a moderator on a candidate forum is that you need to be running unopposed. So we already know that she will be the candidate in the fall, and we're very excited about it. Jen, would you like to introduce yourself and then begin asking the questions? Oh, and one other thing is I wanted to thank Sue Ann Langford, who is timing our answers tonight. that's a pretty thankless job, but very important. Jen Wiles?
Thanks, Denise. So my name is Jen Wiles. I am running for North Carolina House District 75. I am born and raised in North Carolina, just a few miles outside of my district. I have a 20-year healthcare career, 10 of that as a nurse and nurse practitioner in emergency medicine and surgical services. The last 10 years, I've really been focused on digital tools and innovation and research at an academic medical center to help us be able to provide healthcare more efficiently at a lower cost, but also while not putting increased burden on providers. I am a mom of 2 kids. I get married in May to a veteran who has a 15-year career in the Army. I was raised by a veteran. And so the thing that I really want people to know about me is I did not grow up around the powerful. I grew up around the men and women who deserve to have some. And so I am truly running because I see that North Carolina is not working for the people. It works for the powerful. And so I am an everyday person, deeply involved in my community. I work in public schools, work with the unhoused, also support healthcare tech founders in our local community. So just really, truly trying to make the everyday working people successful. I'm running against Donnie Lambeth. He's a senior appropriations chair and also one of the formidable fundraisers in North Carolina. And so by running against him and running a true grassroots campaign that's knocking on doors, making calls, doing all the things that needs to be done, we are forcing him to spend money on this campaign, which means he cannot pass it on to other races. And so I really hope I can get your support. I believe I'll get your vote in November, but I would love to hear from all of you guys as we work hard to flip the seat. And I do not have a primary, so let's pass it over to the people that do. We really need to hear from today. So I will ask the first question and then call on folks in order. The first question is really just to get to know you all a bit more. It is, what experiences in professional and community life best prepare you to serve in Congress? And we'll start with Ashley Bell.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ashley Bell. I'm running for the 10th district against Pat Harrigan, and experiences that I have that serve me or say that I'm the best person to take the Congress seat is I have been a healthcare provider for the last 15 years. I'm a PA. I'm a Wake Forest School of Medicine grad.
15 years? God, this is ridiculous.
And I worked for the first 7 to 8 years in emergency medicine at Baptist. And in emergency medicine, you have to make a lot of life and death choices. And that's kind of where we're at as a country right now. I know how to triage, I know how to prioritize, and I understand that when we are in a moment like we're in now, that we're kind of in an emergency and we do not have time to wait. We do not have time to waste. And this is not a moment for silence or caution. You know, this is a moment for courage, and this is a moment for making sure that you put the right candidate through the primary. And I believe I'm that correct candidate, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Harry Morley, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for having me. My name is Harry Morley. I'm running for 10th Congressional U.S. House, also against Pat Harrigan. What makes me different from everybody else is I have over 38 years of experience you can count on and trust as exceptional children's specialists, advocating for my people, getting the services they need, they request, and the service they have earned. I'm also, what separates me from most candidates is I've been over 165 events. I show up. You can talk to some of these people here. You can ask Jenny Marshall, Denise, and Pat Deskin, Willie Herrera, countless others, Billy Carter. I show up when they ask me to. I'm here talking to people. I'm going out there listening to them. I hear what they say. I participate in the protest. I back them. I'm there for you. Now, what makes me a little bit more different from everybody else is that I retired in 2020. I came back in 2020 because the work could not wait. And the same thing I'm applying as exceptional children's specialist will be the same skills I'll apply to serve you guys in Congress to make sure you get the services you need, whether it's broadband infrastructure, whether it's like lower prices for drugs, as far as goes and as far as things go on that, and public education. I am here for you. So my name is Harry Morley. I'm running for 10th Congressional U.S. House. I'm also a union delegate for NCAA, FCAE. I have shown up at countless school boards, county commissioners, and city councils. I spoke in ICE interventions in Newton, and I also spoke to ICE interventions in Louisville. So I'm here. I'm making a difference, and I will be there for you. Thank you, and please give me a chance to earn your vote.
Thank you, Harry. Marcus Pearson.
Thank you, everyone, for letting me be here tonight. What makes me different from the rest of the candidates is in 2024, I was a candidate for District 72. I ran against Amber Baker. I got a chance to sit in the hot seat beside her and debate her back and forth on some stuff and sit in front of voters and listen to them and hear their stories about what's going on with them. Got out of when the race ended, I thought I was out of politics, but just being a civics teacher and just listening to my daughters and seeing what's going on in the world, it changed my mind. And my daughters, who are 18, 21, asked me to do it again. And they asked me to do it on the federal level because I like to talk broadly about things. And I was like, I'll do it. Another thing that makes me different from other candidates, and I know Harry's a teacher. I'm a teacher too. I've taught for 6 years. The biggest difference, I think, is I'm a civics teacher. I teach civics and government every day in high school, and I talk government all the time with my students. Another thing I think makes me a little different. I'm born and raised in Wilkes County, North Carolina, and if anybody knows about that town, you gotta understand that's blue collar. That's where people work, and I've worked in factories with my mom when I was a little younger in my years, and I understood how hard work was. I understand when people lie to you and they tell you they're going to do something for you and they don't do it. So I was brought up on certain things when it comes to politics. And with my mom, she basically said, you shake a person's hand, that means you're agreeing, and then you give them your word. You never go back on your word. So I try to do that all my life with my family and how I was brought up with my kids. So that's the biggest thing I think the difference for me. Why I'm different. I'm also a graduate from Winston State University, and I'm a graduate from North Carolina A&T State University. So I'll be, I just think I'm a different candidate. I'm straightforward.
2 minutes.
And that's pretty much me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. We will pass it to Mir Yarfitz.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much, Denise and Pat and Jenny. And Jen, I'm really excited about you flipping that seat. I'm also running to flip this seat, take it from Pat Harrigan. Fundamentally,
excuse me, Mir, could you please speak up a bit? Your volume is lower. Sorry about that. I want to make sure everyone can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Is this better? Is
Yeah,
that changed?
much better.
Okay. All right.
Restart.
I did. Yeah, I stopped it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So I come to this fundamentally as a community organizer. I've been organizing in labor and tenants' rights, immigrant rights movements, LGBTQ movements since I was 14 years old. Also a tenured college professor at Wake Forest where I teach history. So, I bring the energy and work of organizing as well as a very robust team of folks from, grounded here in Winston-Salem in Forsyth County. Also, I am working with folks in DC and internationally to really bring to this campaign some of the fresh ideas that are what is needed right now. We need to do something different in politics, and obviously we all know that. I also bring the lessons of history and, my experiences in talking with folks from all different backgrounds about a lot of different kinds of ideas. As an organizer, I not only go to protests, I organize protests. I've also done work at every single election since I've moved to Winston-Salem 13 years ago as a poll observer, working as a translator and doing other things to try to make our voting system accessible to more people. I also spent 5 years as the president of our chapter of the AAUP, which if we could have unions, right, would be a union. And, in that role, I worked hard to bring not only faculty and staff together, but also I've done a lot of organizing together with students, faculty, and staff around Wake Forest. And right now, I'm very lucky to work with a whole team of folks. We're grounded in ongoing anti-ICE community defense work, and we're, really trying to continue building that up as this horrific violent fascism continues.
Thank you, Mir. We will go to Ralph Scott.
Okay, here I am. I got it now. Am I in there?
We can hear you, Ralph. We cannot see you if you're trying to be
Yeah,
on video.
right. I'm trying to be on video, but some reason or other it's not doing.
Why don't we do this, Ralph? I will move to the next candidate and then I will come back to you while you're working on that. Okay. Is that fine?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Did you see me now?
Not yet.
Not
So
yet.
we'll if
Go
you'll
ahead.
mute yourself, Ralph, and if we'll
Okay,
move
go
on
ahead.
to Wes Cottle.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wes Cottle. I am from Yadkin County, born and raised. I've lived here majority of my adult life. Previous professional experience includes time in law enforcement locally, as well as a public school teacher locally. I also own my own business, and I work in the business sector as a management professional. I am a participant in multiple nonprofit groups in the area, one serving our population that battles with addiction and supports their families through harm and risk reduction initiatives. I'm also a board member with the private first class Elizabeth B. Barker Johnson Foundation, which is a memorial scholarship foundation for the first Black teacher in Elkin City Schools, where I graduated from. She was also a member of the 6888, made famous by the recent Netflix movie. And I also have my own nonprofit that is called the Better Angels Foundation, which focuses on disaster relief, where I teamed with the Western North Carolina Emergency Network to deliver fuel and supplies into our mountain communities following Hurricane Helene. And we received an award from Congressman Chuck Edwards' office back in the spring of last year for those efforts. What sets me apart is, like I said, I'm from this area. I know how to talk to folks here. I know the things that are important, not just in the city, but also in the small rural communities and the farming communities across the 10th district, because we all know that it varies from end to end, with 4 predominantly rural counties and then more urban settings in Forsyth County and Winston-Salem. And what's important as we work our way through the primary is to understand that we have to be able to talk to voters of multiple backgrounds and multiple viewpoints. It's not just about negotiating and compromising across the aisle when we get to Washington, but also being able to talk to voters and give them something to believe in so that they have a reason to support someone that they usually may not fundamentally agree with. And it's important that we understand those differences
2 minutes.
in communicating with our congressional counterparts and communicating with our future constituents. Because ultimately, there's one thing to be proud of our performance in March, but we all want to be victorious in November. So again, my name is Wes Caudill. I appreciate your time being here, and I look forward to answering more questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes. Ralph, do you have your video working? And if not, I am good at thinking on the fly, and I pulled up
Yeah,
a
I think
picture
I
of
got
you.
it now.
Okay, and I was gonna, oh yes, I can. I was gonna say I'll share your picture so people
Okay.
can see you, but you can go ahead.
Okay. My name is Ralph Scott. I was the Democratic nominee for 2024. My experience is I have college, but I did most of my stuff on the job. I helped engineer processes and stuff like that. It was mainly engineering stuff, and I was in the military. The biggest thing that I can see just by the last couple of weeks and months, just like everybody says, is affordability. Just like with these AI data centers that are being done right now, they're being done at such a rate, there's not even enough power to even power these things. And what's happening is it's causing copper prices, which is an input cost to houses, automobiles, you name it. It's going through the roof. So it's going to create inflation. And also another thing that would help affordability, which is something I think is very important, would be universal health care. Because once you pay your taxes, you don't have a $15,000 deductible or whatever it is to pay for, plus your premium every month. But the most important thing that I think sets me apart from everyone else is when I ran before, this district was R17. Now it's an R9. I swung the district basically 8 points to the left. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. We are going to move on to the second question. It is, once you are in Congress, what is your plan to mitigate the damage the Trump administration has done to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act? And we'll go in reverse order. We'll start with Wes Caudill.
So in order, healthcare is very important. I think that's something that crosses the aisle with all future constituents and voters. But it's important to understand that before we can accomplish anything in Congress, we're going to have to get money out of politics. So ending Citizens United is very important. As for the Affordable Care Act, there is growing support for extending the subsidies, which is the first step that has to happen to keep prices low while we work for a bipartisan, because that's what's necessary to advance legislation in our Congress, bipartisan solution to build framework, in my opinion, toward a Medicare for all situation that probably parlays into a point where we have Medicare for all, but also incorporate the private insurance industry into an Advantage plan purchase option that bridges the gap until we reach an ultimate solution to our healthcare crisis. We also have to understand that our medical professionals are leaving the profession at an astronomical rate because of the way they are treated and also the way that our insurance system currently works. I know that Ashley can speak more to that, as that is her profession, and I respect her for her work. But we have to look at this from a multi-pronged approach here, in both supporting our medical professionals, supporting our constituents and citizens across the country who are in need of healthcare, but also understanding that supporting other healthcare professionals is vital. Staffing issues arise, and it affects the way patients are treated and the treatments that they receive. So the ACA has bridged a gap. It's a system that needs to be addressed and needs to be improved upon. And like I said, Medicare for all is something that I feel that this country has to work toward to meet the needs of our citizens and individuals here. And also, Medicare was a promise that was made by our government to protect our aging citizens. And so it's necessary that we always stand for that and protect it, and make sure that it is not taken away from those in which it was promised to. Thank you very much for your time.
Ralph Scott.
Would you please repeat the question?
Sure. Once you are in Congress, what is your plan to mitigate the damage the Trump administration has done to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act?
That's what I thought. Okay, basically, like I said, my goal would be to back any plan that would do universal health care. But I know and I understand, I'm realistic, that we have to do bridges sometimes to get to that point. But it all really depends upon if we send a blue wave to Congress or not. If we send a blue wave to Congress, we should be able to push things through very, very quickly. And I'm a very firm believer that if we can skip straight to Medicaid for all, for universal health care, that's what I would really prefer to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Mir.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I would also, push immediately towards Medicare for all. I follow the Democratic Socialists of America's, their long-standing fight for Medicare for all, which has been very successful in helping to shift public opinion across multiple ideological sort of spaces that people are in. The DSA has 5 demands: a universal program, right? Everyone's covered by one system, equal access to all services, comprehensive coverage, so all services will be fully covered, free at point of service. There's no out-of-pocket payments. This is going to be coverage for all U.S. residents, including non-citizens, should have full access to health care. And, in the transition, this is obviously going to be a big transition. There's going to need to be a jobs initiative and severance for those affected. Additionally, this is about a broader vision for healthcare, right? It's really looking also to other countries around the world that have been doing this for a very long time. And, we're going to need to, as folks have said, get money out of politics, get insurance companies, get pharmaceuticals, get the hospitals out of politics, right? But, as part of that, it's how do we really center people's needs? How do we really center what does it mean to get healthcare, right? Not just to give healthcare. And I also want to be very clear, in comprehensive coverage, this includes abortion, this includes gender affirming care, this includes mental health services, and all of this for all residents of the U.S., including non-citizens.
Thank you. Marcus Pearson.
First of all, I believe that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege. All Americans have the right to healthcare. Doesn't matter how much you make in life or whatever your status is in life. With the affordable health care, what we need to do is reverse what Trump's been doing. Because when Trump first got in office, he gutted it out. I think if he gutted it out, we'd get rid of it. So all we need to do is when we get to Congress, we need to work across the aisle. We need to work with everybody on the Democratic side and Republican. So we got to talk to Republicans too and try to build back up the Affordable Care Act because it is a popular, Affordable Care Act is very popular. We need to build it back up. We need to strengthen it so everybody is taken care of, so nobody loses their coverage. Subsidies right now, they need to be taken care of. Into the Senate, I don't know if they passed it in the Senate yet or if they denied it in the Senate, but we need to protect those subsidies so that people's premiums don't go to the roof. Because once they go to the roof, now you've taken health care away from millions of people. Medicaid or Medicare for the older generation, that needs to be protected. That should never be touched. And when I go to Congress, one thing I will do, I will work hard for the older generation and make sure they're taken care of. And I will promise them that I'm going to make sure that doesn't get touched at all because they've earned that right to have that Medicare and Medicaid in their future years. Thank you.
Harry?
Well, first off, I'd like to reestablish the premium tax cuts for the ACA because so many people depend on it right now. People dropping those policies like flies because the premiums have gone up to 260%. Over 1 million North Carolinians depend on that. Not to mention these rural hospitals, which will go belly up in counties like Yadkin County, Elkin, all these other, and that has to stop. Basically, as that would be like a bridge. First, and the second thing I would work on is try and get on committees where you can make a difference to move this country, like Mr. Meir said, from affordable health care to like health care for all. We can do this. We're like the only industrialized country does not provide services for all of its citizens. It's ridiculous. We've got to cut the price gouging. There's a lady I know who pays $33,000 for 5 pills to keep her life, there in case of emergency. That's wrong. We got to, work together. We got to, roll back the cuts to Medicaid and Medicare in that big, beautiful bill, which I think is $300 billion to $200 billion each one. That's got to go because kids, that's taking medical services away from kids. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to reestablish that first and then move towards health care for all because that's important. And like he said, it's health care for all people no matter what the services they want, whether it's gender affirming care, whether it's women's reproductive rights. Nobody has the right to tell somebody they can't have health services, and they shouldn't choose between your house, your way of life, your life period, and being able to be, go into healthcare and getting, what they need. Sorry, there you go.
And Ashley.
So as I said earlier, I've been a PA for 15 years, so this is kind of my specialty. First thing I would do is make sure that we do roll back some of those cuts that have been made to the ACA and to Medicaid. We have to make sure that people are not getting kicked off their health care because of paperwork issues, which if you've ever done paperwork for insurance, it's kind of a nightmare. So I want to keep people on Medicaid. I want to minimize the paperwork churn that we see with that. So maximize auto renewals of that, and then get an immediate handoff to ACA plans for anybody who loses coverage. Now, as far as the ACA subsidies, we know that we've had issues with those getting cut. People are not able to afford to keep those. And so we have to roll those back, but that's just a temporary stopgap. Ultimately, we have to press for Medicare for all. And Medicare for all is going to be an extremely complicated system from us going from one system to another. So there's a lot of things that we have to do in order to get ready for that, to lay the groundwork so that we don't have people on the other side trying to roll back our hard work. So, and I would just like to thank Wes for bringing up a very large part of my platform. It's obviously you've been paying attention to what I've been saying the last several weeks. So we do have a lot of issues with providers leaving the workforce because because they are frustrated by the corporate takeover of medicine. We are kind of treated like cogs in a wheel where we only get limited time to see each patient, and we don't get this resources that we need to make sure that everybody's getting the health care that they need. So one of my initiatives is that we need to support independent healthcare practices as opposed to allowing them to kind of get caught up in the issue where they can't afford to sustain their practice, and so they get swallowed up by the big corporate conglomerates. So we've got to stop that. And then we've also got
2
to
minutes.
make environments better for healthcare providers and make sure that healthcare providers are the ones running medicine, not people who are conspiracy theorists or may or may not have brainworms.
All right, we are going to move on to the next question. It is long, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it twice, just so that way, hopefully, people can get the full question and we can move forward. Given the growing number of families that are struggling financially, how will you address the affordability crisis in this country, which includes the executive branch's use of tariffs? So one more time. Given the growing number of families that are struggling financially, how will you address the affordability crisis in this country, which includes the executive branch's use of tariffs? And we'll start with Ashley.
So first of all, I think one of the issues that we've had with tariffs is that it's kind of on and off, the whole taco thing. So I think we need to stop this roller coaster that we're on with the tariffs. We need to end this war that our president has been playing against our trade partners. But I also think that we need to institute programs that are more friendly to working families. So we're talking about things like free childcare or subsidized childcare, and talking about things like Medicare for all, so that we're not all going into huge amounts of debt when we have to go to the doctor. And inflation is still a huge issue. Housing costs are still a huge issue. We need credits for first-time home buyers, and we need to make sure that we're not getting price gouging from private equity firms that are buying up all of our houses and making it impossible for working families to buy those for their own families. So those would be the three things that I would address first.
Thank you. Harry?
Well, first off, tariffs are nothing but a tax on us. I mean, if it costs more to grow a cow or grow anything you eat, it gets passed on to us because we consume it. Second off, we need to look at the infrastructure from these rural areas and broadband infrastructure, which can help out with the projects like the Highway 321 industrial corridor. We also need to have educational, where it's like a pipeline for these high-tech manufacturing jobs down in Iredell County and stuff. Basically, prices have to come down because everything's impacted. We need transparency on electrical, like what's going on with our utilities, because, like I said, oh, good gosh. Yeah. Anyway, we need to work on bringing prices down. If I get in there my first 30 days, what I'll do is we'll try to bring drug prices down, make a bill there. We need, like I said, work on working for the struggling working families. So,
Thank you. Were you finished, Harry?
yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to Marcus.
Thank you for the question. Tariffs, biggest problem we got. Right now, if you look at the tariffs, most times our tariffs are either at 0% or 10% when we're trading with other countries. Right now, Trump is at 100% with Canada. Lately, he's wanting to go back to 100% on them. He's going 30, 40, 50% on other countries right now. So what we need to do as congressmen, as a newly elected congressman, any of these candidates need to do, hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do, is when we get to Congress, we need to, first thing we need to do after we find our offices and all that, we need to walk across the aisle and talk to Republicans and ask them, how can we get the president to get these tariffs back down? We need to bring the tariffs back down to 0%. If it sometimes 0, sometimes 10%, 10%. If you can bring these tariffs down, and once we do, now prices come down. Manufacturing goes up. The more stuff you get, the prices are lower. That will go with grocery bill. That will go with grocery bill. That will go with your gas. That will go with everything in life. If you have more money in your pocket after we get rid of the tariffs back down, now we can talk about the affordability. If we all have more money in our pockets because of the tariffs are down to 0%, we all have more. We have money for childcare. We have money for healthcare. We have more money to spend, and then we'll be able to get that house. We'll be able to spend that money to get that house. The more money we have, the better we live. And that's what we need to do with these tariffs. If we keep doing this, like Ashley said, talking to other countries, I'm gonna do this, you're killing the market. You're making it hot. So what we do is bring them down, more manufacturing, cheaper prices, better affordability, and more we can live our best lives. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder, if you are not speaking, if you'll have yourself on mute, that way videos won't switch if there's some noise in your background or something like that. We'll move on to Mir.
Yeah, thank you. As far as the tariffs, the inflation, the price hikes, all of that, it's already happened. It's happening. It's going to keep happening as the economy continues to be destroyed. Obviously, Congress needs to start actually governing and doing what it can to stand up to these completely ineffective economic policies. We also need to do a lot of education with the American people to explain tariffs are, as has been said, a tax on us, not as is being sold sort of some sort of punishment for other countries. The affordability crisis is intertwined with these other crises, right, that we all see across District 10 in different ways. The housing crisis, right, general costs of living, energy costs, various levels of crises in education. These are all interrelated, right? And all of these things need to be dealt with in a variety of ways, and in ways that, that we can really speak with people across District 10, whether their concerns are building up infrastructure in more rural areas, building up broadband internet, doing road repair. There's going to be issues related to, let's say, bringing back supports for, in sustainable energy use. All of these things are shared by people across the district, across the political spectrum. But I do want to say this, the affordability crisis, we can't just address this with prices. This is about wages, right? So unless we want to use the Fed for purely political ends, we need to actually put a minimum wage in that is going to allow people to live a good life. We need a middle class. Again, the middle class has been hollowed out. And the way that we deal with this is start with a $20 an hour minimum wage, and that will be pegged to inflation. I would say this should at this point start at $24 an hour, but we're at $7.25 and $2.13 for tipped work. So $20 an hour starting now, and this is not bad for the economy, right? I mean, other places where I've lived, Los Angeles, Seattle, they've set livable minimum wages. Small businesses have been fine, or this hasn't been the thing that has destroyed them, right? So finally, affordability for people across the board. We need more for everyone. We need a better life for everyone. We can do this. We can make America middle class again.
Thank you. We'll go to Ralph.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I knocked someone off earlier. Affordability is, I would probably have the rest about 50% of our crisis with Donald Trump, with his rhetoric against other countries trying to take them over and everything. What he's done is he's created economic uncertainty, pardon me. And that's going to cause some inflation in the future for sure, because the dollar keeps on staying down below 98 cents on the dollar, which of course is going to reflect directly on our imports. And of course, we have to get rid of the tariffs, whichever way we can. But again, it all depends upon how many people we send to Congress. If we could send a blue wave, we could really destroy this administration. And one of the key things, in my opinion, that would bring the middle class back to the middle class is we need to take CEO pay and really put a clamp down on it. Just like everywhere everywhere you go across the country, people that make like 300% of what the worker on the bottom does. We need to cap this thing way down there at, like, say, 100 times what the worker does. And anything they pay themselves above that, they should pay 75% tax on it or higher if possible. And that includes stock benefits, health insurance, and everything. What that would do is that would take that money that's going in that CEO's pocket, which is already going to be in that corporation, and shove it back down into the worker's pocket. That would do a whole lot to help the middle class. But also, of course, healthcare, in my opinion, needs to be done. And one of the biggest and most successful programs ever invented was the unearned income tax credit. That needs to be increased way up there to at least $100,000 for married people with children. And then, of course, but I mean, you can really increase that where you can like fold a lot of programs into it. You can increase it to the point to where it would encompass food stamp money, et cetera. You could just start stacking this. It's probably one of the best programs that has ever been invented to help the middle class. But like I said, again, to me, cap CEO pay, universal health care, and the unearned income tax credit would really benefit and boost the middle class. Thank you very much.
And we'll go to West. West, you may be on mute because we're not hearing you.
Yeah, sorry about that. For whatever reason, I couldn't get the mute button to come up. First off, we have to reestablish the constitutional authority of the three branches of government. One being that Congress controls tariffs. So we have to remove the tariff authority that is being unconstitutionally wielded against the American people and our trade partners by reestablishing congressional authority that is outlined in the Constitution. Secondly, I believe that it is time for a constitutional amendment that establishes human rights that extend to individuals and not to corporations and organizations, as was established under the Nixon administration. Third, trade agreements with all of our international partners that address cost that are beneficial to individuals in the United States and to businesses as well, and also promote workforce development and ease of access and need for workforce. Tax policy. We have to work on our tax policy that promotes and leads businesses to address wage issues, to promote wage growth, and it prevents offshoring and movement of good jobs overseas, and also allows for small businesses to thrive and not be choked out by unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles. Also, we have to enforce established antitrust legislation that has been on the books for decades in this country and break up monopolies. When we see a limited number of corporations that control most of the products that we purchase, most of the media and the news that we take in, and there's a small number that control everything that touches our lives, then we find ourselves in the situations we do now. So breaking up monopolies is very important. And the last point I'll make here tonight is we have to regulate AI that protects both individual rights, but also the workforce. Currently, it is a push to not regulate AI, and I know that that's a big fear in the workforce because it will ultimately result in the taking and loss of jobs for our human workers. So we have to establish protections for our workforce across the board from growing and developing and emerging technologies. Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on to the last question. I just want to thank all the candidates for sticking to the rules and staying on time. They may allow me to do this again if you do that for this last question too, but you guys are doing great. I'm going to read this one twice because it's the longest one. So just to make sure you guys hear the whole question. As a member of Congress, how will you use your voice to hold the executive branch accountable for unauthorized military actions against other countries and citizens of the United States of America? So again, as a member of Congress, how will you use your voice to hold the executive branch accountable for unauthorized military actions against other countries and citizens of the United States of America? And we'll start with West.
Thank you. So again, we have a constitution that established how our federal government works and how our government in general and our laws are established. And one of the things that the Constitution did was it expressly gave the right to military action declarations to our Congress. Over the years, there have been laws that have been agreed to that have empowered the executive branch to make decisions that ultimately have proven more often than not detrimental to our society. And we've all observed 2 decades of war in the Middle East without a clear directive or a clear plan to actually achieve anything. It's something that Republicans have used against the left and the Democratic Party. So we have to establish the very clear and distinct roles that were defined in our country's founding documents if we're going to achieve anything worthwhile in this country, because as we settle and we allow for an executive branch that runs roughshod over those established precedents, then we can't expect to have any control or any normalcy in our lives.
Thank you. We'll go to Ralph.
Okay. First of all, the Constitution says it very specifically, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 11, only Congress has the right to declare war. But more so than anything else, what we need to do, like I mentioned more than once, we need to send a blue wave to Congress, because we need to come up with almost like giving Donald Trump something that he really wants, something named after him. We need to create a Donald Trump law that says the executive cannot have absolute authority without any kind of congressional oversight, even if it's like an NSA operation. That's what those NSA committees are for. The president goes to them. They all talk about it, and it's never brought up in the public, but he still must go to these things. And that's basically what we need to do. We need to come up with a Donald Trump executive bill, so he has something named after himself to feel like he's done something that just really clamps down on presidential authority that he has way overstepped, and his buddies in the Supreme Court have also. Thank you.
Mir?
Yeah, I mean, I came into this race because of, the fascist illegal actions that are, happening in our streets, more and more visible all the time, right? Where they're shooting people in the face for completely legal actions, and then, all lining up to defend this, right? I mean, I've signed up to impeach on day one. I will certainly move to do that, and hopefully with a bunch of other people, and not only him, but hold everyone accountable for these anti-constitutional acts, these illegal acts that have been happening, around the country. The executive branch obviously needs to be held accountable as well for these unauthorized military actions. I'm a historian of Latin America. None of this is new. None of this is new, what we're doing around the world, right? And none of this is new, what we're doing inside the country either. I'm working right now with a former student whose father has been kidnapped by ICE and is being held in a 4x4 cell in Mobile, Alabama, with 12 other men. But those men were in that cell under the same conditions 3 weeks ago, and 3 months ago, and 3 years ago, and 3 decades ago, right? So these systems of violent repression and of anti-constitutional behavior, these have always been here. Right? This violence has always been here for the poor, for Black, brown, indigenous, queer, LGBTQ folks. This system is maybe becoming more visible and has been becoming more visible, right? So now is the time to stop it, right? We need to defund ICE. We need to, stop funding the border, stop allowing the Border Patrol to move away from the border, hold these kidnappers and assassins accountable, stop detaining non-criminals, stop separating families, stop illegal detentions, stop the deportations, stop racial profiling. And local law enforcement should help. Local law enforcement should uphold civil rights, even if federal agents are violating them. We need to respect due process, habeas corpus, basic human rights. So day one in the House, if it hasn't been done, I will bring a bill to defund ICE, make Border Patrol small, alongside the articles of impeachment for Trump and all of his henchmen.
Thank you. We'll move to Marcus.
Thank you for the question. I think we just need to bring common sense back to this question. Common sense is this right here. I'm a civics teacher. I've taught for 6 years in civics. It's the Constitution that says the Congress has the right to declare war. The president can't ask for it, but the Congress has to be able to do it. And so what we need to do is basically rein him in and let him know under the Constitution, sir, you cannot keep doing this. You have to go through us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on any committee I can, and also I'm going to reach across the aisle to talk to any body I can. Democrats, Republicans, we need to get this president under control. And it's in the Constitution. 3 branches of government. He has to go through the Congress to do this. And my voice will be loud and very loud. I'll make sure of that. But that's all we can do right now is try to work with other people to get this taken care of and get him to go back to the Constitution. Thank you.
We'll go to Harry.
What we need to do in Congress is reestablish the checks and balances. Right now, Congress is giving this guy a pass and nobody's saying anything. What they're doing in Minnesota with ICE interventions, that's a direct violation of 4th and 5th Amendment rights. They're using administrative warrants to knock on anybody's door, kick down anybody's door without any reason. That's got to stop. Mr. Trump has used his executive orders to subvert the Constitution, take over our government, and basically run ruckshop over Congress. We need to rein him back in. We need to call for, him to be impeached. We need to call for the people in charge of ICE to be impeached. We need to bring them in and bring them back together. Now, as a teacher in a Spanish immersion school, the fear that this ICE raids have caused have directly impacted my students, my teachers, and these are people, some of these teachers are actually citizens. I have a lot of teachers from Colombia, Costa Rica, and they're on the 4th year of their visa, but they aren't going to be able to get a green card, even though they're the best teachers around, because this guy won't give it. That's wrong. What they did in Venezuela, totally wrong. He took $900 million worth of oil, put it in an account in Qatar. What's that? Congress needs to call him out on that. We need to stop this. The Constitution says, like everybody else has said, that only Congress can declare war. But what this man is doing, he's just writing an executive order and just going with it, and he doesn't care what happens. And it's up to us in Congress to say, no, this has got to stop. This is in now. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Harry. We'll go to Ashley last.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Congress is the only body that can declare war. And furthermore, we have to ensure that the president, the executive branch, is held responsible for notifying the appropriate channels in Congress if there need to be some attacks on other countries. I am part of citizens impeachment. I will file to impeach Trump on day 1, but I will also file to impeach Hegseth on day 1 because it's unconscionable that we have what amounts to a reality TV star running our national defense. And then on our home front, I'm just going to be real plain about this. We need to abolish ICE. I need all of you to keep your eyes on the ball with this ICE thing. If you're not paying attention to what is happening in Minnesota right now, you really need to be, because ICE has purchased hotel rooms in Charlotte and in our district for next month. And that could be us very, very soon. They are a paramilitary government-funded force who are killing, murdering American citizens on American soil, and this cannot stand. So we have to make sure that we're using our voice and that we're using all of the avenues available to us to get this paramilitary force out of power.
Thank you. And that was our final question. I know that some folks have asked questions in the chat. So now that you guys are not having to worry about my questions, you can scroll back through the chat and see what folks have asked. I am going to turn it over to, I believe, Denise, who will start our county commissioner panel.
Okay, thank you, Jen. And for anyone who came in late, Jen Wiles is running for House District 75. So if you are in that area or you have friends please encourage them to look up her information. And thank you very much for participating, Jen. We're going to begin with, actually, we're going to begin by explaining why I'm asked attorney in the 31st District, also unopposed, but she is unable to attend due to illness. And so you get me instead. We're going to have, again, 4 questions, and like District 10, we're going to begin with the same initial question. And that is, what experiences in professional and community life best prepare you to serve as a county commissioner? Okay. Again, what experiences in professional and community life best prepare you to serve as a county commissioner? And we're going to begin with Dan Bessie, who is in the at-large race. Dan?
Thank you, Denise. I'd say it's a combination of life experience and actual experience working on boards and commissions like the county commissioners and including the county commissioners. Um, I have an understanding from how I grew up and the work I've done as a professional adult of why public schools, uh, public health services, and public safety are important to working and lower income families. I grew up in a working class family and neighborhood in small town Hickory. I graduated from public schools, went to UNC on scholarship. I took my law degree down east to help struggling families in poor counties of coastal North Carolina. I've worked for Planned Parenthood to help protect a woman's right to choose, and for environmental groups to help protect clean air and water for everyone. I've, I've also served for, I have to admit my age here, about 40 years on boards and commissions of public trust and service. That includes appointed positions on the North Carolina State Environmental Management Commission, as well as the North Carolina Coastal Resources Commission when I lived down east. And I've been in elected positions here in Forsyth County. I served for 19 years on the Winston-Salem City Council, and I'm finishing up my first term now as a Forsyth County Commissioner, the at-large commissioner. I think that I've had the opportunity to show that I understand not just what's important to working in lower income families, but how to make government work for them. For example, I understand how critical it is to work as a team with fellow members of these boards. I, as a single individual, can't get a thing done. So everything I'm going to point to over the next few seconds as examples of effectiveness are times that I was able to work with at least 3 other members of a 7-member board. For example, this past year, we passed a record high appropriation at the local level in Forsyth County for our school system of $180 million. We were able to work with the interim superintendent of the Forsyth County school system to identify
Okay. Dan, I believe that you may have exceeded your 2 minutes and 30
Excuse me.
seconds.
Very good.
Sorry about that. Actually, I did not hear the 2-minute warning though. Sue, you are currently muted. Okay.
I don't know how I became muted. I apologize.
That's all right.
To you, Mr. Best.
Oh, that's okay. You're back. Thank you.
That's quite all right.
And my apologies for cutting you off without warning then, Dan, but you did, that was a very detailed explanation. Thank you. Okay. Our next candidate is Quimikia Shavers, better known as Q. And Q is also running for the at-large position. Q?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kwame Kia Q Shavers, and I am running for County Commissioner at Large. I am born and raised right here in Winston-Salem, graduated from Carver High School, went on to the illustrious Winston-Salem State University, and graduated in 2011. I started in politics roughly a little bit over 9 years ago when my former principal asked me to volunteer for his campaign. I have truly worked towards running. I didn't roll out of bed and decide I was going to run. I actually put myself in a position to learn not just what the county commissioner does, but also what city council, board of education. I was the president not once, but twice of the Young Democrats of Forsyth County. Also served on the state board as the vice president of the Young Democrats of North Carolina. Typically, in my sorority, I am the chair of the political action committee, also chair of the political action committee for the NAACP. I truly love politics. I grew up in a home where no one talked about it. I attended school at Winston State University where my friends said we're going to vote and peers listen to peers. That was one of the strategies that I learned to later apply into my political consulting business is that peers listen to peers. My friends said we're going to vote and that's exactly what we did, which is why the Anderson Center is so important to me. What makes me different from the current person who holds that seat is everything. Because if I was going to run and do things as the current person, then there would be no need for me to run. I'm very community oriented, created in 2024 the Pink Vote, which was to increase voter participation within the Black and Brown community. And we were very successful in that. And I am certain that we had a great hand in securing the seat for Justice Riggs. Beyond that, my community efforts to truly enhance voter participation within our county, because we need that overall for future elections, is to encourage individuals to participate in this process. Another thing that I feel that I'm equipped for this position is that I know that instead of our county commission being full only when they have an issue with what the county is doing, that the community is there while we're making decisions. We're making the decisions with community. I want a community-led government so that our community can move forward together. Thank you so much.
Denise,
Oh,
we can't hear you.
I know. Oh, sorry. Our next candidate is Kimberly Hinton Robinson. Kim is unable to join us tonight, but she did send a surrogate, Lynn Felder. Lynn?
Thank you, Denise. Hey, everybody. I am not Kimberly Hinton Robinson, but I'm wearing her sweatshirt. My name is Lynn Felder. I'm a campaign volunteer. I've worked with Kimberly to help found her nonprofit organization and as a fellow at her side in the Sherry Beasley campaign for Senate. Kimberly is a dedicated community leader who's running for County Commissioner, District A. A true product of District A, Kimberly's work is driven by passion for helping the most vulnerable residents of Forsyth County. She worked as a county organizer in both of Barack Obama's campaigns, a field organizer for Sherry Beasley, and a regional organizer in the 2024 presidential campaign. Born and raised in Forsyth County, Kimberly attended both public and parochial schools in Winston-Salem and Winston-Salem State University and post-university. Her deep connection to the community fuels her tireless work as a local activist. In 2015, Kimberly launched the Festival for the Homeless, an annual event that provides much needed break and respite for the homeless population. Every year, Kimberly successfully enlists the support of entertainers, restaurants, public leaders, and countless individuals, showing her ability to unite diverse groups for a common cause. The success of the festival was a catalyst for her nonprofit, Living is Finally Enjoyable, Winston-Salem. Life, are also called Life Inc. It's an organization that finds and provides transitional housing for homeless women with children. And Life works directly with Project Hope in the school system to find clients for that program. In 2022, Winston-Salem ambassadors gave her their Everyday Award. Other awards include the 2020 Triad Cultural Arts for Kwanzaa. And Kimberly says, I stand for the people of District A who are not being included in the progress, innovation, and economic development that is taking place in our county. Kimberly doesn't just talk about change, she builds it. It's time to elect a commissioner who's already proven her dedication to lifting up District A and making Forsyth County work for everyone. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Our next candidate is Natasha Smith, also running for County Commissioner in District A. Natasha?
Good evening, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Volume good? I wanted to thank everybody, the party, Jenny, everyone for pulling this together, and all, 136 of you for being here. Hope everybody's staying warm and has all of their stuff done so that we don't have exploding pipes tonight. I'm running to give this district another option. I've known the other candidates and our incumbents for combined, I'm not going to say how many years because then I have to admit how old I am. But this is not about anything other than wanting to give this district another option. My life experiences. I have to start out with who I was raised by. I was raised by community activists and leaders. As many of you already know or have heard, my grandmother was Virginia Newell's first campaign manager. We've been in this city since before Winston-Salem was incorporated. Then we've only had one female mayor, and she helped raise me, and I took her around my neighborhood of East Winston, Kentucky Avenue to knock doors. Then I watched my mom be the chair of the East Winston Development Task Force, and sadly, that Food Lion that we have on MLK is still our only real grocery store. I watched my mom bring that. I grew up at the feet of these giants, learning how to make things happen in this community, and I plan to continue that. What I will bring to this board from a professional lens is all of the experiences I've had from managing local campaigns to working on national campaigns and understanding how some decisions happen, to working across the aisle, understanding how to make somebody who maybe initially didn't want to agree with you see the light and see why my way is
2
the right.
minutes.
Okay, gosh, that was a fast 2.5 minutes.
It's only two.
But this community is my community. I'm running to give District A a voice and a seat at that table so that decisions that are made incorporate their wants and desires. I will be hosting weekly lives on Facebook so that people understand what's happening. I will be hosting quarterly in community meetings so I can hear directly from people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Natasha. Our next candidate for District A is Malashai Woodbury, better known as Shay. Shay?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Shay Woodbury, and I am running for, of course, County Commissioner, District A. Of course, I am as I always say, a pure home girl of Winston-Salem. I was born and raised here. My family has been here for over 120 years. This is home for us, and therefore this community has empowered me and nurtured me to be where I am. I'm a proud graduate of Carver High School, 1992. I attended UNC Chapel Hill, North Carolina A&T State University, and although I didn't have the opportunity maybe to attend the illustrious WSSU, I did teach there for like about 5 years, so I do have skin in that game. Essentially, I am a very proud, almost 30-year veteran of public school education, K through 16. And I have committed my professional life to public school education to really transform public school education and to make sure that there is equitable access for all children. I was honored after the Leandro decision to be a part of a pioneering class of educators that were certified as priority leaders. I think also just as important, I am rooted in this community. Women like Vivian Burke made sure that I sat on the MWBE committee for the city so that I come to understand how to equitably allocate resources to all of our citizens. I was the president of the Carver High School Alumni Association. I was one of the founders for the Action for Ashley. These are all things that I did before I even became the on the school board and chair of the school board. So I had a lot of community
2 minutes
before I even tried to run and represent the citizens, which is why initially, before I was on the school board, I said I'm ready to serve because I had put so much time in our community. And so now I stand before you as the former chair of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board, first Black person to chair, and now your current Forsyth County Commissioner. I'm ready to serve. I was proud to work with the commissioners to pass a quarter-cent sales tax.
Okay, thank you. Our last candidate for District A is Tanya McDaniel. Tanya?
Greetings and happy Monday, Democrats. I am Commissioner Tanya McDaniel, your fired up and ready to go candidate for Forsyth County Commissioner in District A. I told you in 2018 that I was committed to this community and dedicated to its progress. I told you in 2022 that we were better together and that I was moving Forsyth forward. And I have done that, but we still have work to do. And here I am here in 2026, ready to rise together, resilient, innovative, sustainable with my experience. I will tell you that I was born and raised here in Winston-Salem as well by two veterans. I am the goddaughter of Earlene Parman. And my qualifications, I'm a graduate of the Winston-Salem State University undergrad in political science, and I received my master's from North Carolina Central University in public administration. I've been a paralegal in this, and I'm certified by the state of North Carolina for over 20 years. Now, my husband retired me about 2 years ago so that I could have more time to be working in my passion as the county commissioner, so that it's important to have people that are present. Presence matters, right? I will tell you that the qualifications also, because one of the roles and responsibilities is for us to establish the tax rate. And I don't say this to be facetious or as an elitist, but I am your only candidate that is a homeowner. So therefore, I'm more sensitive around evaluating the taxes because I'm paying them too. This is my third term, and I voted for a balanced budget over the last 3 years that has growth for not only the schools, but the sheriffs as well, sheriff's departments as well. I call myself a progressive, impactful Democrat. I'm not afraid to question. I'm not afraid to speak up and speak out. I will question, but I also look for solutions. I also think that emotional intelligence is important. And when you have 7 commissioners, 4 of them being Republican and 3 Democrats, you have to gain the respect of those commissioners. And I have done that for my district. I'm the only candidate that you will see most of the 365 days of the year in the community.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that. Our next candidate is Adam Hill, who is running for County Commissioner in District B. Adam?
Good evening, everyone. As Denise said, I'm running for District B, the donut. My path to this point of running for county commissioner has always been about moving towards work connected to community impact. I left a neuroscience PhD program. Everybody thought I was crazy because the research was really years away from helping people in their daily lives. From there, I landed at Forsyth Features, which is a local nonprofit. I've been there for 12 years. And in that work, I've partnered with different community organizations to really understand community issues and use data to drive positive change and action in education, health, housing, and economic security. In that work, I've worked closely with the school system, Department of Public Health, Department of Social Services, the hospitals, other nonprofits. So worked with a lot of the groups that are the biggest parts of the county budget. So I understand those systems well. The county needs to be a strong partner in creating a shared community vision where everyone's thriving, working with these other groups, residents, schools, cities, hospitals, and nonprofits. The county can't solve these alone and can't be as effective working in a silo. So it really needs to play a role of partnering with these other groups. Collaboration has been the work I've done at Forsyth Futures. I've been involved in many different community initiatives, So I have deep community connections and relationships with people doing work on the ground. And I would push for more community-led processes to set county priorities. I think what you all know, one of the major roles of county commissioners is approving and overseeing the county budget. As executive director of Forsyth Futures, I've managed a balanced budget for the past 7 years. I'd bring that same discipline to county government. This District B seat is really pivotal in terms of needing change and leadership to be able to make progress. I'd bring data-informed leadership, deep collaboration and experience in community relationships with people doing the work, to make sure Forsyth County is a place where everyone can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Our last county commissioner candidate, also running in District B, is Marcy West. Marcy?
Thank you, Denise. Can you see me? I'm Marcy West, and I can't see myself, so I'm just going to see if I can get, well. My Marcy West, I am running for county commissioner in District B. I have extensive experience in the financial sector. I have both managed operational teams and worked as an internal consultant where we've gone into different varying teams. We've taken a look at their process, we've collected data, and we've made transformational changes in those areas. I have worked as the lead on teams that have been across different functional organizations, across different cities, across different cultures, with a final project where I was coordinating across 9 countries in Asia. I've also have local government experience, and that's over a dozen years. That included 9 years on a finance committee that was advisory to the Board of Selectmen. The select board is similar to a county commission with the same responsibilities of setting the tax rate, balancing the budget, handling zoning and bylaws, and setting the strategy for that community. I headed up as chair a zoning advisory committee where we had to rewrite recommendations for zoning that had not been updated since 1928. Zoning is another really key area for people. I have deep family ties in Forsyth County. I moved here straight out of college. I met my husband who grew up here. His parents grew up here. My sons were both born here and our first 2 houses were here. So I have connections. I have family who worked in Forsyth County government for their entire lives in both county government and in the schools. So I have people to go to gather additional information and background. I did my local government experience in Reading, Massachusetts on a municipal light board. I was elected to that. I was elected to the Board of Selectmen. I was elected as town manager. So I had a number of people that I had to work with and across. There were nonpartisan boards up there, which actually I think is the way that the county commission should be run, is a nonpartisan situation. But I was supported by local Republicans in addition to local Democrats, because I believe we just need to take good care of and steward our assets. I also have a lot of community.
Thank you, Marcy. We are on to our next question for all of the county commissioner candidates. Marcy, you get to go first on this one. And that is, Forsyth County faces various challenges, one of the most important being affordable housing. What strategies or policies do you propose to address this issue? Marcy, you're muted.
I don't know how that happened because I didn't touch it. Oh, okay. So, what we need to do is we have a big need for affordable housing, but we have a need for different types of affordable housing. So we really need to take a look at where are the different places that we have a gap. So is it in the housing for the unhoused? Is it housing for the worker class? Is it housing for middle class? And then we need to work collaboratively with nonprofits, with for-profit, with building organizations, with the city, and with the county. So to date, the county commissioners don't really work extensively on this. They need to actually pass a resolution that gives them a little more authority. It has to be a goal to the citizens to be passed so that the county commission can take a little more of an active role in this. Sorry.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you'd finished.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Um, our next candidate is Adam Hill. Same question. Affordable housing.
Yeah, thank you, Denise. This is a huge issue. A recent study showed we need 25,000 additional units by 2030. 2045, it's great that we set a goal of 25,000 additional units, but that is on too slow of a trajectory according to some of the research that's out there. And as Marcy was saying, we need to make sure we're setting targets for building housing that's affordable for all different income levels. They use the term AMI, area median income. So we really need to make sure that how we're building housing is affordable for 0 to 30% AMI, 30 to 50%, and 80 plus. Where we need to do a lot of work is actually at that lowest end of the spectrum. We're over 10,000 units short that are affordable to that lowest income band. Also, as Marcy said, this has got to be a partnership effort. Municipalities have a lot more authority in North Carolina to use finances to help with development that allows for development in a way where we can make units more affordable for those lowest income households. We would have to pass a referendum if we want to use county financing for affordable housing development. So I think we should consider that, putting that up to vote so that the county has more authority to really take action on this issue. So I think those are, we need to look at land use and really think about density as well. So how do we make sure and all of this, the Forward 2045 plan does have a lot of this great stuff in it. We just need to come up with a really clear implementation plan on making sure we're actually moving those pieces forward that are in that plan. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Marcy, I'd like to come back to you for a minute. Your video has been lagging, and I want to make sure that I didn't interrupt you before you had finished because of the video lag.
Sorry, I'm sorry that it's lagging. I'm not sure why that is, but I actually have nothing else that I wanted to go ahead and touch on this. Thanks.
Okay. I do
want to do is make sure that I hear or get a notification of the 2-minute warning because I haven't had that.
Okay. Presumably that means you haven't gone past it. It's kind of like gymnastics, where people try and get as close to the line as possible without going
Actually, I
over the
did get
floor
cut off the
exercises.
first time, so I didn't
Oh,
hear
okay.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that you don't have to get within an inch of the lines on the edge. It's okay to finish within the 2 minutes. Okay.
I'm sorry, Marcy, are
But
you not
thank
hearing
you.
the 2-minute at all?
Hmm.
I just wondered, is everybody else hearing the 2-minute? Okay.
I think it's easier for the people listening than the speaker. So Marcy was speaking when you said it, and so I don't think she heard it. So maybe if you have
say it louder
or a sheet.
That would help,
A red
actually.
sheet or something.
Yeah.
a sheet. Okay, let me see what I can find. Okay, sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. Our next candidate is Tanya McDaniel, running for District A. And Tanya, housing.
Yes. So I will say that the first home that I ever purchased was through the IDA program, and that is with the county. We have a down payment assistance program that does help individuals become homeowners. But relative to the unhoused and affordable housing, the county collaborates with the city of Winston-Salem and other nonprofits, for example, ESR, Financial Pathways, to help individuals find affordable housing and participate in those opportunities as well. I think the other candidate, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, talked about the referendum that we were proposing to put on the ballot. Again, that allows the constituents to just make that decision of if this is something that they want us to get involved with, because remember, you're paying not only taxes to your city government, but you're paying it to the county as well. So somebody has to pay for that. And I don't mind supporting anything as long as we can find it in our budgets to do that. We did collaborate recently with Peters Creek Parkway. We gave over a million, almost $1 million to that program with the city of Winston-Salem, and that is with affordable housing.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Shay Woodbury, and Shay, affordable housing.
Thank you. I will say that before 2023, the county's feedback around affordable housing was we don't do housing. And we know that even at that point, the county was being supportive of first-time home buyer benefits. And so I think that this commission has been very diligent in saying, hey, we need to change, the language so that the community understands that we are very supportive of housing. It's just that most municipalities take the lead. So I think that for me, I think that we need to be very conscientious about how we explain to the citizens what our role is as a county to support with housing, whether it's affordable or not. So I was very happy to be a part of the vote that actually enabled the Peters Creek Parkway apartments. We were able to forgive that $600,000. I will say this, though, lastly, because I'm glad that Commissioner McDaniel was adamant about sharing how she was able to afford to buy a house, because I don't want us to put in front of our citizens a stigma around when you can't afford to purchase a house. I am actually a homeowner in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, so I'm not sure where the information became that I did not own a home, but I have to serve those that don't own homes too. A third of us in Forsyth County are just simply rent owners. And just because we're renters, it doesn't mean we don't understand how the tax base affect us, because true indeed, we pay rent to those who do pay, of course, taxes to the county because they own the property. So I want us to be very clear that this is an inclusive conversation about housing. Whether you own housing or you don't, we all need quality housing in Forsyth County. And I hope to work with the for-profits, not-for-profits, the other commissioners, and the city to make sure that we have housing for all.
Thank you, Shay.
Did the bell work? Did you hear the bell?
I didn't hear the bell. I'm sorry.
I did not hear it either. Yeah.
That was a suggestion that I use a bell. So
okay.
Okay. I'll just yell louder. That's all. I apologize to everybody who has not heard me.
Oh, goodness. Well, our next candidate for District A is Natasha Smith. And Natasha, could you address affordable housing?
Sure, and I'm going to piggyback off of one of something one of our congressional candidates said, and apologies for not noting it, but if we're going to do the riff off of the Trump quote, I would like to see us make housing affordable again, but that's going to be a partnership, and sadly, I don't know that I have anything new to add after all of the other previous answers, because they hit all the top line notes. This is going to take looking at not just the city of Winston-Salem, but we have other municipalities in the county, and working with every single one of them to ensure that we are optimizing things. I actually do sit on the zoning board of adjustment for the city of Winston, so I understand zoning a little bit better than some people because it's a little boring at times. I'll just freely admit that. And zoning is a place where the county commission has some power to make sure that, when we're looking at land, what can we do there? Can we do something? The other place, when thinking about affordable, that I want to lean into as a county commissioner is it's affordable if people can afford to pay the rent. And if, all of these apartments swear that these rents are the market rate, then we need to make sure people are making a wage so that they can pay to live there. So, working with employers that are here and bringing in new employers and giving the legal and correct incentives so that they can pay people an actual living wage so that they can pay those rents. And we're not going to see some of the vacancy rates we see at some of these newer buildings around the county. So Oh, maybe I didn't come close to that 2.5, and you don't have to worry about the bell. But those are the top line notes for me. And then I'll also throw in, we've got a ton of community organizations that the county gives grants to. So making sure that those are optimized so that they are helping folks and the folks who need it the most, so that we don't have people losing their homes because they can't afford things. We don't have folks losing their homes because tax rates are going up to the point that they now can't afford that mortgage payment. And we have more people who are on that housing insecure kind of bubble. So that's where the county commission can really impact lives and make sure people are living great. And again, we can make housing affordable again.
Okay. Thank you, Natasha. Our last candidate on this question for District A is Kimberly Hinton Robinson, again represented by surrogate Lynn Felder. Lynn, affordable housing. Lynn?
She might not be here anymore.
I'm here.
Oh,
Hello.
Oh, that's good.
I'm sorry. I was muted. Thank you. Kimberly has worked for years and years with the city and the county and local nonprofits to mitigate homelessness in the community. I can't answer this specifically, obviously. I don't know what her plan is, but we're abundantly aware of the problem, and I'm confident that she has a strategy. And as Natasha said, it's not just rent and mortgage, it's wages. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Our last two candidates are representing the at-large district, or running to represent the at-large district. The first to answer the question will be Kwamikia Shavers. Q, affordable housing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for that question. And actually, last week I was responding to a slew of questionnaires from real estate agencies and also from builders. And I was able to dive into this question a little bit better than versus saying, yes, I do notice that affordable housing is being placed in like East and North Winston, but it wasn't technically affordable for the individuals who actually reside there. So then where do they go if they're being pushed out of communities in which they can afford? But what I began to realize was that not only with organizations like Financial Pathways, Habitat for Humanity, and the IDA program with the county, is that how are we truly taking that extra step to empower and educate our constituents? Because think about it like this: the more homeowners that we have, the more individuals we get to tax, and which should even things out or lessen things for the whole, for the totality, right? And so I propose in my platform is that we provide additional resources to educate and empower constituents to move towards home ownership. Because guess what? We don't want people to be put in homes and to be home poor. So in real estate, that means they can afford the home, but nothing else, right? They're eating noodles and oodles in their brand new home. And so what I would like to do is that we really educate and empower community members about home ownership, the actual weight that comes with being homeowners. So we talk about how can we fix affordable home, but I can make something affordable to someone, but if I don't adequately empower them with the resources and knowledge of how to keep that home, it doesn't matter how affordable we made it, right? Because they still have to understand that they are the landlord, they are the plumber, they the roofer, they are everything. And so I really want to put resources back into this community beyond what we normally do as our county commissioners, because I know that county commissioners said that in the beginning, housing wasn't what they do, but you tax property, right? So housing has to be what you do. And so, what I would like to do is to create resources, education, opportunities for all constituents. I know that we talk about serving District A or serving District B, but if you really think about the infrastructure of the board, you have to serve all people: Democrat, Republican, rich, poor, extra rich. You are serving all. Thank you.
Thank you, Q. Our last responder to this question is Dan Bessie, also running for the at-large seat. Dan,
Thanks
affordable
again, Denise.
housing.
I tend to be very specific about programs that I think will work and why. The first thing I think we need to do is we need to put more resources into the programs that we're already doing and are working well because they're cost effective. And by that, I mean the home rehabilitation assistance and the first time home buyer programs. We recently approved putting $200,000 into those programs and expect that to help 15 families. Now, that's very cost efficient in terms of bang for the buck in housing. Well, I also need to go beyond what we've been able to put in now and put in more resources to those two programs. And to do that, as has been pointed out, we need to get a referendum approval. And I've been pressing our county attorney to write the language for that we can vote on in the commission. Secondly, we need to look for opportunities where we can collaborate with other partners, as in the flats on Peter Creek, where we collaborated with the city of Winston-Salem and private organizations in putting together the funding for that project. And then we also need to recognize that the private sector is always going to provide most of the housing. So we have to work with our zoning codes in order to make it easier to build affordable housing units. So, for example, that we don't make it too hard to put in multifamily units in conjunction with single-family homes. And between those three initiatives, we can begin to put a real dent in the problem of adequate, affordable housing.
Thank you, Dan. We are on to the third of the four questions for county commissioner candidates. And this is, how do you plan to manage the county budget and ensure transparency in financial matters, including funding the Board of Education?
Okay.
And Dan, you get to go first on this one.
Okay. One of the steps that we've recently taken to make all our actions more transparent is we voted to move to monthly evening meetings for the first time in many years in Forsyth County. And that particular vote was, again, a team effort. It took 3 votes over the course of 13 months before we were able to get that elusive majority, including a couple of Republicans, to go with the 3 Democrats in that. Now, in terms of the funding for the school system, that is our #1 budget priority. We have been working with the school board and school superintendents now in an effort to develop a funding formula that starts as the floor for funding. We managed to do that last year, and in doing that, we passed a record high $180 million for the school system. We've also worked with the interim superintendent and the system to help deal with that huge debt that they had piled up through mismanagement in the previous year. And by working together with them and with the private sector and vendors, have been able to help them eliminate their debt to the state and most of the debt to vendors. We need to continue to work with them. We need to listen to the community stakeholders, including the teachers and the parents of children in school and the students themselves. We can come together through that listening process and through that discussion process with the Board of Elections, pardon me, the Board of Education, to have a transparent effort and an effective effort in funding our schools.
Thank you, Dan. Now the question goes to Quimika Shavers, who is also running for at-large. Q?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. While I can appreciate the record-setting 180, they needed more. And I, along with other community members, we fought for additional funding to be given to our educators because we didn't want to see people lose their job, because we knew that that would be the next step. If you can't pay them, then you have to let them go. And so with that being said, we understand also when the county said, hey, we don't really have the money. Okay, so then now it's time for you to think outside of the box if you don't have the money. So then I started thinking, okay, well, Q, if you were up there, what would you do? I said I'd start calling Novun. I'd start calling Wake Forest Health. I'd start calling Wake Forest University, major stakeholders in this community who can step in and help if we don't have the money. And guess what? As soon as the county did something first and then reached out to stakeholders, guess what they started doing? Helping alleviate the debt. Now, as far as the transparency with the budget, listen, every meeting needs to be at 6 p.m., not 2 p.m. in the middle of the day. Every meeting needs to be at 6 p.m. And that's what myself, along with other community members, fought for. Now, when we were not successful in the spring, I, myself, and Marcy West and Valerie Brokenbroth continued to go to meetings and point out how empty it was in there and that the meetings needed to be pushed to 6 p.m. All meetings. This is taxpayer dollars. And when you are discussing matters that deal with taxpayers, all constituents should be accessible to the meetings. While I do appreciate the virtual meetings, I've used them. I've also used in the call-in. But if we truly want accessibility to all, then all of the meetings should be at 6 p.m. And that is an initiative that I will work on if I'm given the opportunity to serve under the county commission. And how you fund a community is how the success of a community will land or it will remain stagnated. So our teachers are first. Our first responders are right up there with them. Those are the golden nuggets of our community. If we don't take care of them, then we can't sit in front of no one and explain to them why our community is in the situation that we're in. And while we continue to mention the mismanagement of the school board, mention the $10 million that also the county was in debt. Thank you.
Thank you, Q. We are back to District A candidates. First up for Kimberly Hinton Robinson, her surrogate Lynn Felder. Lynn?
I will pass on this one. I'm not qualified to answer.
Okay, thank you. The next candidate up then is Natasha Smith, also running for District A. Natasha?
Thank you. So, at the top, it's making sure that in this next budget process, which technically I wouldn't be on the board yet but I will be in the room for, going through every single line item with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that every dollar that's in there is where it needs to be. The projects that are being funded are the projects that need to be funded, and where can we take money to give to schools? That's number one. Number two, again, it's also remembering that that big, beautiful bill is going to be hitting all of us at some point this year. And that's another reason we need to make sure that we are maximizing every dollar that's in that budget so that the most vulnerable in this community sorry, have what they need, the protections and the support that they need. On the transparency part, I'll be at every single meeting, whether it's a briefing at 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 6 p.m., so that I know what's going on and I can be communicating with my constituents. As I said, we'll be doing updates on Facebook Live and, since I'm a digital person, through email. But everyone's going to know what's going on, and it will be explained in regular language so people know what's happening, so that folks can get mobilized if they want to get mobilized. If they want to say, yes, we like this, they can say, yes, we like this. It's having those community meetings quarterly so that we can break down what's going on and I can be the voice, but that only happens with transparency. And then it's also making sure we're partnering with the school board, having regular meetings so that we know what's going on behind the scenes. It's demanding regular budget updates. The county commission gets that big budget book that the commissioners have to go through. School board members need the same thing so that when these great ideas are proposed, they know where the money's coming from and they're not robbing Peter to pay Paul and then, having another issue, we'll call it. And it's also collaborating.
2 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate the way our current Board of Commissioners worked with the school board to figure out ways to alleviate some of that debt, and that it's continuing that kind of partnership so that we can figure out how to fund schools even more while keeping enough money on the county side for EMS, for the housing, for every other issue that we care about. We've got to make sure that we spend the money wisely so that we can do all that we can do.
Thank you, Natasha. Our next District A candidate is Shay Woodbury. Shay?
So ever since I've been on the school board, the funding formula has never met the gap that the state doesn't fund, period, point blank. And so while I was on the county commission and we revisited this funding formula, Jenny Easter would tell you, I contacted FCAE, I contacted school board members. That's very key, the communication piece. Before we make decisions, we have to be in communication with those that is going to directly affect. And so I was very adamant about reaching out to these folks to say, hey, what say you about this funding formula? Because I can tell you that when I was on the school board, again, it did not meet the needs. Do not politic over the needs of our children and the future of this county. I will be very honest with you, transparently. There is a fear that if the school board come and ask the county what is really needed, that then they won't get anything. And I'm like, don't be afraid of any so-called retribution from the county commissioners. The tax-paying citizens have put into our coffer to take care of things like public school, like the sheriff's office, like health and human services. So you need not to be afraid, superintendent and citizens, about what we think is important. The citizens of Forsyth County need to come and make sure that the county commissioners here, you all loud and clear about how we want our tax-paying dollars spent. And I will tell you that we have heard citizens say, which is why one of the reasons why I proposed a slight 2-cent tax increase in lieu of there was a tax increase asked by the county manager and school and county commissioners regarding community grants. So I said, if we're going to ask for
2 minutes
tax increase to support the needs of maintenance of our buildings and for community grants, why not match that with at least supporting of the school district so that we could help the school district come out of the financial crisis sooner than later, which is absolutely hurting our community moving forward from an economic standpoint and a public school system standpoint. So I think transparency.
Thank you, Shay. Our last District A candidate is Tanya McDaniel. Tanya?
Thank you for this question. First of all, I want to say that budgets are really important. And for the last 3 years, I want the Democrats to know, because we'll do a quick math here. There's 7 of us. So it means that we need 4 individuals or 4 commissioners voting on a budget. And for the last 3 years, I have had to, and I'm grateful for Commissioner Dan Bessie voting alongside me, along with 2 other Republicans on the board, to bring forth the budget. I will tell you also that it was me who, I think, I've spoken to every school board member that there was when they were having this financial crisis. And I went along with another commissioner to Raleigh to advocate to our legislators about assistance where they had not even reached out to them. So I think that's important to know. I also advocated on the forgiveness of the $5 million that the school board owed us. So we came up with some creative and innovative ways so that we can go ahead and resolve that, the debt that was owed for the safety and security of our sheriff's department, for our children, and also our social workers. So I did do that as well. Again, advocating and having a relationship with your school board members, whether they're Democrat or Republican, because our children should not be part of this political just debacle that the Democrats and Republicans have. Again, emotional intelligence is important. I have spoken to some of those school board members. You know, this debt goes all the way back to 2017. 2017, and here we are 2026 today, still knowing that they are still in the red. The state allocates funding for each child per pupil. We do not do that. Thank you so very much. We do not do that on the county. We have an MOU, and we are allocated their funding by way of the property taxes of the community, of our constituents who pay the taxes. So that's where we are. Again, having a relationship with those school board members, if they're new or if they're existing, that's key and that's important. I definitely would like to continue that work on the state.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay. We are now on to the District B candidates. Adam Hill is up first. Adam?
Thank you. Definitely agree on the transparency front. We need to move all of the meetings to the evening, 6 p.m., so community can participate and engage. Another big piece on the transparency and engagement front is we need much more participatory budget processes. Mecklenburg has a great process where they do a community survey in December and have a number of community input sessions in January on the front end of the budget process, not the back end. So I think we need much more of that, of community being involved so they really understand, what's in the county budget and what do we need to be advocating for. On education, North Carolina is 49th out of 50 states in per pupil expenditures, completely unacceptable. The state is the one that should be funding public education at a much higher level, and we certainly need to be advocating for that. But unfortunately, we can't control the state budget, and our students can't afford for us to wait for the state. The lever we have is the county budget, so that is going to mean making tough but smart choices about investing more local dollars in our schools. I feel very strongly we can make the case to the community and be clear about where the money's going and why it matters. Strong schools are essential to our local economy. We won't be able to attract businesses without strong schools. So we need to work collaboratively with FCAE, the school system, to identify what are their top priorities, and we need to talk to the community about what it's going to take to fund that. Education pays for itself. If we don't invest now, we'll ultimately pay more later. So we've got to use what we have at our disposal, and the children cannot wait for our state to put the money into our education system. Just one last thing on property taxes. We definitely have to make sure we're protecting vulnerable families from additional financial burden.
2 minutes.
Other counties have great models like Durham, where they have a property tax assistance program. I'm fully supportive of building that type of program here as well to make sure we're protecting our most financially vulnerable families. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And our last respondent to this question is District B candidate Marcy West. Marcy?
Thanks, I appreciate that. So we definitely need to have a much better process of looking at the way we do our budgeting. The budget book today is almost 500 pages. It's more words than numbers. What that does is it makes it very hard for anyone, including the commissioners, to really go through and look at it. The charts that are in there are not necessarily the charts you would expect to see. So that's one of the things that we need to make a change on immediately. I've been through the budget process the last 2 years. The first time that I went through it, I noticed that they actually didn't even have an evening session planned for discussion. So I advocated for evening meetings back during the first cycle. They went ahead this last year and did 4 evening meetings. Not really enough, but still it's better than nothing. We had people who were there and they were engaged whenever we had those meetings, other than the one that was set up a week before Christmas, which was not worthwhile. The other thing is the budget sessions were not recorded. So I actually advocated pretty heavily that those budget sessions be recorded so that people in the community could see those discussions and could see what was going on in those discussions. It's super important that in the budget process, we look at the school budget, and I think we should be doing more for the schools. We also have to manage our emergency management and public safety. We're underfunding our emergency management. We need to figure out a way we're going to manage that. We need to support our public health. We have a lot of different responsibilities that go beyond just the schools. We have to fund our schools because we do need that, but we need also good public safety as well. It's really, really important for our community. Under the Republican leadership, what we have seen over the past few years is that they've been unwilling to make any changes to the tax rate. And what's happened is they've been spending from the general fund. They've been spending down over a number of years, until this last year where they started to say we need to make a change here. So there are changes that we need to make in the way that we do this. We do need to be working with our stakeholders, and we do need to collect community input. And in my previous role as head of the finance committee, I set up and interacted with the community where we had public brainstorming sessions and gained community input both there and on the zoning area. So I hope that you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. We are now on to the last question. And Marcy, you get to go first this time. So again, Marcy is running for District B. And the last question is, given the attacks on environmental protections by the federal government, how will you promote environmental conservation at the county level?
What we need to be doing at the county level is we need to be taking a look at what are the different ways that we can actually implement our lowest hanging fruit on environmental changes. So what can we do in our county buildings? What can we do in the school buildings? We so far under the Republicans leadership of the committee, we actually haven't had a capital maintenance plan. There hasn't been a separate component of the budget for that. We need to have that, and we need to build in our ability to do environmental growth and change in that when we're going along. It's super important that we adopt the different policies that will really push us to do that. Let's put LED lighting in, very easy. Let's do electric vehicles. Let's see where we can put solar cells that make sense and can help us as energy costs go up, and we can be getting our energy at a lower cost, so it'll save our operating expense, but also be helping the environment. So that was some common sense things that we need to do. I would work closely with our local environmental agencies to make sure that we are actually considering anything else that we need to do, any other changes that we can make. It could be that there are regulatory changes that would make sense. I don't know, but we know that there are a lot of low-hanging items that we can probably tackle right now and would help the environment and also help us. So thanks.
Thank you, Marcy. Our next candidate is Adam Hill, also from District B. Adam, environmental conservation.
Yeah. So I think we most definitely need to be partnering with local groups like the Piedmont Environmental Alliance. They have a number of great initiatives. Solarize the Triad. They converted the Second Harvest building and put solar panels on it, and that saves them thousands upon thousands of dollars a year. That allows them to provide more meals. We need to look at that at the county buildings, the school system buildings, build that into our capital improvement plan. There's a district in Arkansas who actually did solarize their school district, and it allowed them to save so much money that they could increase supplements for teachers. So this is a smart thing from it saves money and allows us to use money in different ways. So I think we definitely need to look at all those type of approaches to improving and retrofitting our buildings across the county. So I think partnering with our local groups, because we do have some really great groups who are, have a great agenda. And another program from PEA is they're really looking at how do we improve energy efficiency of homes. So I think, again, we need to look at what those groups are doing and really lift them up and partner with what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Moving into District A candidates now, starting with Tanya McDaniel. Tanya, environmental conservation.
Yes, so I talked about sustainability, and thank you, Adam, for the segue in terms of the Piedmont Environmental Alliance when we had a problem with Texaco. Policymaking is one of the things that county commissioners can do. We write letters, we write policies to reject or deny access to pipelines trying to come through Forsyth County. Again, we talked about sustainability and being innovative. I want to say that we have a new county manager. She's not been in this seat very long, less than 2 years, and I am confident in her management that she is putting together a plan, again, because we have a lot of capital needs. We have a lot of capital needs throughout the county, our sheriff's department, our health and human services department, and our schools. We're responsible for all of that. So again, it's not an environmental controversy, but District A had an issue. And when they had an issue, Commissioner Bessie and I stepped up. We partnered or we collaborated with Councilwoman Barbara Burke to talk about what those issues were. And that situation is being resolved at the airport as we speak right now. But again, these things don't happen overnight. It calls for planning and planning in our budget to make sure that they're there. I'm not ever going to promise you something because I want you to vote for me. I want you to know that I'm looking at this budget and making sure that we can plan things accordingly. We may not be able to do it this year, maybe 2 years, and it may be 4 years, but our eyes is on the prize. So thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Sure.
Our next District A candidate is Shay Woodbury. Shay, Environmental Conservation.
I think if you obviously look at, my voting record, I have always supported any of the initiatives, resolutions, any information that was sent to the county commissioners by any of our local groups or citizens actively engaged around any issues involving environmental concerns. I have been very supportive of making sure that we live in a safe community such that our environment is protected. So I will say that our local organizations are key in helping us to sustain an environmentally conserved and friendly space. I will also say that we have a very strong environmental department dedicated to the county and our needs. And I would like to see ideally some kind of an assessment of our county as it relates to things that we could be doing to be a more environmentally conscious community. I would like to also add that as it relates to the county providing funding for our schools, I agree with Adam Hill around that is a time where county commissioners can really be very influential in, hey, how we're building our schools so that they are more energy efficient. I think that that should be something that is a part of the capital, especially of our schools. The last thing that I will highlight is that right before us now, the county is already prepping us for these data centers. This is going to be a major issue in our community and communities across the state. How will county commissioners, how will local officials in our community land on these data centers, which are showing across the country to be absolutely
2 minutes.
citizens, health-wise, energy-wise, etc. So please, as citizens of Forsyth County, be very attentive to these data centers that's coming to Forsyth County as we speak.
Hey, thank you, Shay. Natasha Smith is our next District A candidate. Natasha, Environmental Conservation.
Thank you. Yeah, just saw someone in the chat said no data centers. They are wreaking havoc on our environment. Watching friends around the country fight that battle. It's going to be a fight, so we all need to buckle up. Around environmental conservation in Forsyth County, again, zoning is going to be one of the key ways we're able to do it. Even not today because snow day, 2 weeks ago at the briefing, was happy to hear that various departments around the county are, trying to be smart about how they're replacing things like cars. Are they replacing all of them? Are they doing it in a smart way? Are they getting, EVs or hybrids? Every decision we make, no matter how small or big, makes an impact. So county departments doing what they can do. Counties and municipalities looking at the zoning and land use, right? Like stormwater and watershed protections. These are, again, not the most fun topics, but these decisions protect our land. They protect our community. The county is able to do things around, greenery and parks and things of that nature, where we are protecting our spaces and keeping our environment as positive and productive as it can be. And then we also just sort of have to think about the larger budget decisions. Are we selling land? Are we keeping it? Are we allowing people to build? Are we reusing buildings so that we're not taking up that space? These are all the kinds of decisions that coming to the board ready to collaborate with the municipalities, with the General Assembly, with the other members on the board, so that we're making the smartest decisions for our community.
Thank you, Natasha. Lynn Felder, surrogate for Kimberly Hinton Robinson, also a candidate for District A, is up next. Lynn, environmental conservation.
And I am not aware of Kimberly's position on these things, so I better pass.
I understand. Then we are moving on to Commissioner at-large candidates. The first one up is Q Shavers. Q, environmental conservation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. And again, with all of these candidate questionnaires, I was given the opportunity to do a little bit more research on this. Very obviously, if I'm given the opportunity to serve, I'll be coming in on a learning curve. But what I did pull, what we could do as a community and some of the things that we could do a little bit more instantaneous was our green building initiatives. I know in college I did a project on photovoltaic plates. They were first down in Davidson County at the community college where they were energy saving. They were expensive to install. It was an investment, but over time it saved community and also was more environmental friendly. We could do environmental impact assessments. And this is basically where we push mandatory environmental impact assessments for new projects and developments within our community. We could promote public transportation, which that would help with some of the carbon emissions and also traffic congestion, which we don't deal with a great deal of that here in a smaller city, but it could help. Tree planting, urban greening, waste reduction programs, using social media for education, also community gardens, which we have one up at Simon Green Atkins. That's the one I know of because it's on the east side of town. Water conservation efforts by linking with the city and seeing how we can better improve those initiatives with low flowing fixtures, renewable energy initiatives where we support local initiatives and rebates for residents and businesses to install solar panels, which I love solar panels, photovoltaic plates. If you go down Clemensville Road, you'll see a whole plant of them behind some bushes. It's really, really great. Educational workshops and seminars to educate people on this. You guys, I come from a side of town where we didn't really talk about energy preserving environmental conservation techniques, but I'm learning. I didn't realize that I was going to be able to reach back from an old collegiate project to research how I could be a better commissioner if given the opportunity to address these issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Q. Dan, you get the last question of the evening.
All right,
Same
thank
one.
you.
This is Dan Bessie, at-large candidate, environmental conservation.
Several of the examples have been mentioned are important ones. For example, the airport impacts on adjoining neighborhoods in terms of increased runoff and increased noise. It was important that Commissioner McDaniel and Councilmember Burke and I were able to work to address those issues cooperatively between the county and the city. In fact, we were successful in blocking the passage of legislation that would have de-annexed the airport from the city so that the neighborhoods around there had less protection against impacts from the airport. We also have been working to press for more vigorous enforcement of things like the open burning, commercial open burning prohibition. We recently dealt with a case in which the DA's office was about to about to drop charges against a clear serial violator and worked with our staff to persuade the DA's office to go through with that prosecution, which should be a slam dunk case once it's heard in court. We have been doing things such as installing electric auto chargers around the county. We have been putting solar panels on facilities. We can do more of that. We need to continue to speak up on issues that affect our county, like the resolution that we passed to oppose the new pipeline through the county for fracked gas. And finally, Thank you to Commissioner Woodbury for pointing to the data center problem. We have 5 companies now looking at proposing to locate data centers in Forsyth County. These are massively negative environmental impact facilities. They are hogs for electricity and in the process raise costs for everyone. They are hogs for water and diminish a limited resource there. And they have at their property line the 24/7 decibels now for these massive new centers, equivalent to a jet at takeoff.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Before you tune out, I'd like to ask you to do 3 things. One of them is to please go to the North Carolina voter lookup and look yourself up. Make sure that your registration is current and that there are no problems with it. The second is that I would like you to write down the following dates: February 12th to February 28th. February 12th is when early voting starts. Vote early. And of course, March 3rd is the last day to vote in person. Okay. And the third thing that I'd like you to write down, or at least make note of, is the website for the Forsyth County Democratic Party, fcdpnc.org. We'll have a video of this entire candidate forum. So if you have any friends or relatives who were not able to watch this evening, they can go there to see the entire discussion. The other thing is that on the county website, you will find links to all of the candidate websites. So if you need additional information about any of the candidates, you can find ways to contact them there. And lastly, thank you for sticking through this. This has been a very long, very in-depth candidate forum, and a special thank you to Pat Deskin, who put a lot of work into organizing this, to Jenny Marshall, who was amazingly flexible in getting this moved from the library to Zoom at the last minute with the weather changes, and to Sue Ann Langfett, who did a great job of holding on to that timer to keep us within the allotted time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't know if Jenny's going to come on and end the meeting or not.
I can absolutely come on and end the meeting. So thank you all for showing up tonight. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording.